If there's any advice that I can give to people, man, is like with me, like I said, there's really no sauce on this burger. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of just put the condiments on as I go and just see what tastes good and what doesn't, you know? So you'll never know if it's going to work or not until you take that risk. And as long as you're ready to ride the ride, then just do it, you know?
Knowledge and the talent that my mother had born to her equals a duck. What is it, Trey?
Yo, man, that's the formula.
Oh, no. What I was saying is like, so I work a very corporate job. I work at Salesforce. So like right now I'm wearing a sweater over a collared shirt, and then you see me out on the street and I'm like full streetwear. But like I do wear my cargo pants into work, but sometimes on these videos I look at myself, I'm like, bro, I do not look like that in real life. Like I look like that at my job.
I feel that because, a lot of the times when you see me at my workplaces, you know, I'm wearing this for the most part, or I got
Yeah.
like a Bloomn shirt on, or I'm trying to rep like another homie's brand. And then,
Yeah.
I, if I put something on, they're like, oh, I haven't seen you like this before. Like, oh, you look good. And I'm like, oh, thanks, I guess.
Yeah. They forget you are the brand, huh?
Yeah, it is. I just like to wear it. People don't got to know that I am the brand. If I rep it hard enough, then
Yeah. Yeah.
At Bloomn, you guys kind of went hard with merch, though. I remember when I came in, you guys had like 5, 6, 7 different types of shirts.
yeah, so the main guy, Joe, he's the one that started the whole brand. And they've been running Bloomn since before they wanted to be a dispensary, but he has his own press, so he makes all his own stuff. So I'm like, yo, if you throw this logo on this color sweatshirt, it's like, all right, give me
Yeah.
5 minutes, let's see what it looks like. And he's had some
Yeah.
pretty good stuff come out.
Which guy is Joe? It's you and Perry. Is he the third guy, or is there more?
So there's 5. There's me. There's Chris. We call him Crispy Chris. Matt. He owns the North Loop location with me. He was like my first mentor in this. And then you got Joe, heavier, bulky, bulldog looking guy. And then you got Perry as well too. You obviously met him, but that's the genius.
I think Joe's the other guy I met that day that I went in that you weren't there.
Yeah.
And like you could kind of tell at first they're just treating me like a regular customer, and I was like, oh, like Dondo said to try XYZ. They're like, oh, like
Yeah. Dude,
chopping it up.
Perry's pretty casual. Joe is going to treat you with like the uppermost hospitality that he can, because he understands that like everybody has weed. You can go to whatever dispensary you want, but like, do I like talking to this dude? He's good. He takes care of people.
Because you're what, like a couple months into that now, right? It's not feeling brand new anymore.
Nah, yeah, January 27th, I think, was our official open date. So, now I'm kind of figuring out where all the products are instead of taking 60 seconds to find one cartridge on our shelf. But the inventory is like growing rapidly. So,
Yeah.
I got some work to do on Wednesday.
How'd you get into that even?
So, when I was opening up House of Barbers, I turned down the opportunity because things just kept going left with this place. I mean, it started off being the floors were in awful condition. We should have just did the floors first, but once it was the stickiest adhesive I had ever seen. Like we broke 2 carpet removers, and not even carpet removers, they're tile removers. So we burnt 2 of those up, and those were hand pushed. And then we ended up getting a sit down one. And to make a long story short, this place was really taking all of my bread. So I passed off the opportunity to somebody else. They ended up backing out because the dispensary industry it's tough to get the doors open. There's a lot of stuff that just pops up like, hey, everything's good, but you're going to need this HVAC system right here. And that's another 10, 15,000. So, and then once we finally got this place up and going, this was like a month in, and they approached me like, hey, that dude backed out. Like, we think you should get in. And I talked over it with my girlfriend, and I don't think she wanted me to do it because she knows how stressful opening up a brick and mortar is, but there's just not going to be another chance where you live in a state that 1,800 applicants apply and only 100 get it, and then 15 actually utilize their license right now. So I just thought that having skin in the game at the beginning is important.
How much do you think
jumped on it.
you talked about like the HVAC inst me and Trent were talking about this too. I'm like, in comparison to the type of businesses that we usually talk about that like feel fake, like we work from home and we do all the shit online and we're sending emails, and how much do you think the knowing HVAC and flooring and all the shit that you learn from setting up the barbershops translated into, I don't know if you're a part of that process at all with the dispensary, but does it translate or do you think it kind of vary by business?
It It would have helped for sure, but I was past the build out process for that. And lucky enough, Matt, the guy that I talked about earlier, he owns two barber schools. We opened up North Loop together. At North Loop, we had a general contractor, so they got to do all that. We didn't have to have any headaches. It was just, we're going to be here these days and it'll be done by that day. So it probably would have translated nice, but there's a certain machine, I think it's called the Greenleaf, that's supposed to just vacuum the smell out of it.
Mhm.
I don't think that that industry has any business telling me what my space should smell like. If we're selling weed, like, it stinks, you know what I'm saying? So I think it should be more of a landlord decision, and the
Yeah.
landlord didn't really care, but we just did it just in case they tried to enforce something later on, like, just knock it out. If it's something they're asking about or recommending, just get it out of the, get it out of the checklist.
Yeah. So what's kind of your plan then with your dispensary business? I know you said it's very new. Like, are you still having to jump through a bunch of hurdles now that you have it even set up, like the building set up? Like, what does that look like being in such a new industry, even in the state that's regulated?
So the biggest thing right now is, so we own a micro license, right? And so with the micro license, you can pick, I want to say, three things to go with. We chose a retail, we chose cultivation, and we chose manufacturing. So right now, like a week or two ago, Matt came up to me and said, "Hey, we might be trying to flex our manufacturing license. Would you be interested in doing that?" I said, "Hey, look, I just started two businesses. Let me just get 6 months just to breathe. Like, the girlfriend wants the house updated and stuff. Like, I need to be able to have personal life money too.
Yeah.
So we do want to flex in the manufacturing part of things. There's
Mhm.
pros and cons with that. And the cultivation, I mean, that speaks for itself. Like, we can grow our own flower, and
Yeah.
when we can grow our own flower, we can put it in our own packaging and then put it in our own dispensary. So you're literally, you know, what did Nipsey say? Integrated vertically, just trying to knock off all the things that you possibly can, so you don't have to go through all these other sources to do so. So we would like to expand, but I'm pretty sure with the micro license, you're only allowed to do one retail license per. That doesn't mean that Casey can't apply for a license and Casey becomes a dispensary owner and becomes a Blooming franchise, but that's a conversation for down the road.
Yeah.
I saw that you guys just got branded gummies. Were you able to like skip over the like manufacturing process like you talked about with some sort of partnership?
Yep.
Or how do those exist without doing what you just mentioned?
So I cannot I I can't figure out who made those gummies for them, but a lot of companies will be doing like white label products. All I
Yeah,
know is that we're the first ones with the rosin gummies. And
nice.
so I was happy enough to just know that instead of knowing who makes them. That
Yeah.
wasn't really like a process of, it wasn't a bunch of hoops that we had to go through. We built good relationships throughout the last year. Like, this has been a thing for, I think, 2023,
Yeah.
just filling out applications, getting the space. We had a space and switched to another space,
Mhm.
and it's it, like Crested Brute. Shout out to them if they end up seeing this. They make, in my opinion, next to Lunar, the second best drinks in the market, and you can white label them. So I can name it Casey's Choice Root Beer. I can name it Trent's Sunset Orange or something
Yeah.
like that. So you can white label anything you want. I think there'll be more white labeling companies coming out, but everybody's still figuring out what they want to do with their license.
Interesting.
Just in order to kind of set the stage a bit here, we kind of obviously just got right into dispensary talk, but like a couple times you've tossed out like when we open North Loop, like XYZ. Can you give some context just to the different businesses you own between the barbershop space and now the dispensary, and kind of like what the last 5 years have been getting those to be formalized a bit?
Yeah. So I started off So originally I'm a barber. Before anything, I'm a barber. And before I owned a brick and mortar, I owned Dondo's Cuts Incorporated, I think is what it is. That's my LLC name. So that's the
Yeah.
first business, but that's the business where
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm using my hands, right? And
Yeah.
then I worked in the Stilo Cuts Uptown location for, I want to say 3, 4 years, was approached by my guys, Matt and David, and they said, "Hey, look, you've been putting the grind in, you're young, your hands still work fine. How would you be feeling about opening up a franchise?" So then I opened up the North Loop location. That became my first brick and mortar. After that, we worked there for 3 years before my brother ended up getting his license. And then that's why I now own House of Barbers, because I wanted to give him the same opportunity. I mean, a 20
Shout
year
out,
old that
shout out Isaiah.
Elijah, Elijah.
Elijah. Oh,
Isaiah,
shout out
Isaiah's my
Elijah.
other brother. Isaiah's my other brother. So
Yeah,
you didn't get
yeah,
it
yeah.
wrong, but
Right.
Elijah. And that being said, I 20-year-old that was working harder than me when I was 20 years old, like why would I not want to give him the opportunity? Because eventually he's going to become the anchor and he's going to be able to hold it down while I can kind of branch off and brand a little bit, shake hands with people. And, he'll get to that stage eventually, but I still got to know what it's like to be shaking people's hands before I can put him on how to do that too.
Yeah.
So, but then, like I said, a month into owning House of Barbers, that's when I was approached a second time to, join the Bloomn team. And we opened the doors up, like I said, January 27th. And the last 5 years, man, I mean, we've been rolling. I bought a house, we tore up the basement. Uh, I probably wouldn't do that again. I'd probably just enjoy home ownership before I get to knocking walls down and installing plumbing and electrical. But it's been a grind, man. But I find that with my mind, I'd rather stay busy than not. And until I fail at something, I'm probably just gonna try to keep stuff moving.
Yeah. So how does it like for you, did you have some sort of master plan or is this just like things just started falling into place? Like, well, how did this all work for you? Because you're in a lot of different spaces, you know?
I wish I could have a cool story about being like a mastermind, but I've been cutting now for I think May will be 9 years with my license, 8 years with my license. So you meet good people around the way. I've met people in Uptown that have moved to different cities and they followed me to different cities. So I like to
Yeah.
think that I can get along with just about everybody. I can relate to a lot of people. I like to
Yeah.
think of myself as just like a Swiss Army knife type of guy. You put me in St. Paul or Mankato or Minneapolis. Like I feel like I can just do my thing and build up. I know what the grind takes, and
Yeah.
there's no mastermind plan behind it, man.
Yeah.
Do you think you had any sort of like entrepreneurial interests before then? Or do you think one thing kind of just led to a next that put you in an ownership position? Like, do you think when obviously you just said things kind of did fall into place, but pre-barbering, getting into the cannabis space, like, did it seem enticing to own your own business with this kind of stuff? Or would you have been fine if these opportunities didn't come across just barbering for, the foreseeable future?
I think that when people go into barbering, it is one of the like most rapidly expanding entrepreneurial, sorry if I butcher that one, but just journey. Like it's not too hard. If you have the capital saved up to do this, the barber board is easy to get along with. They just tell you have enough sinks, have enough electrical, and make sure that people can breathe with the air. So I think just working retail and knowing that if I don't sell enough socks with these shoes that the guy that I like, my manager, can get in trouble. I was kind of over that because I don't want to pressure a soccer mom into buying insoles with everything she buys. So I was just like, I know I can be my own boss. I know I like to talk to people. Why not make money talking to people and learning a craft? And just like I said, it's not hard to open up a barbershop. So once I seen like how good North Loop was doing, it made me want to expand and do another one to see if like, does the area just got the sauce or does Dondo got the sauce? So part of it was just like a test for me, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Well, and I think like the barber world is also kind of set up in an entrepreneurial way anyway, from what I know. Cause oftentimes when you work at a barber shop, right, like you're either an employee of that barber shop and they're paying you a cut, or you're like renting a space from them or like renting the chair. And that's like kind of owning a business in itself. Do you
Mhm.
think like that part of it kind of helped pique that interest? And that's why people might go down this path?
I think that seeing the people that I've been cut by, like Akeem Akwe, that was one of my first barbers that I really got familiar with. Seeing what he did with his
Yeah.
brand. Henry Tribe, he owns a barbershop in Fridley, but also is doing it on a sensory level cut. I think, oh man, maybe in the DMB somewhere or something like that. So I think just watching people that do the same thing as me on the daily basis, being able to do that, it just gives you a sense of confidence to be able to be like, I think I could do that, or at minimum try it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But
Yeah. I think one of the cool things about the barbershop too is like it in a sense levels out the playing field for you start to realize that everybody is a normal ass person. Like if they sit in your chair, you're gonna have a conversation with them. I think like an opportunity is just find I would guess would find you too because you meet people on like a very personal level and then you're doing a very almost like intimate thing with them by most people's hair like for me is like so important. So you meet them on a personal level and then now they can trust you and then you start to talk about something else and then you find a business opportunity or something. Like is that kind of how the barbershop works even?
yeah, I would say that, first off, there's going to be a couple different type of people. I think the two people that come to mind is, do you just like want to get your haircut and you're not picky, or do you want the best haircut ever? Typically, the people that want the best haircut ever, I find that they're easier to lose because there's always going to be somebody better than me. It's just a matter of time before they find you. But
Yeah.
there might be somebody close to me, but there's not another me. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if you like me and you trust me with like what I do with my craft, like
Hmm.
probably going to be pretty easy to keep them.
Yeah. Interesting.
I want to know more about working with Elijah. I know I used to get a lot of the behind the scenes when I was getting cut in North Loop,
Yep.
both from like the business side, but also like the personal side. Obviously, he's cutting directly across from you in the same space. And I remember you just being like, like, I don't know if he thinks it's going to be easy, but like, I'm kind of throwing him into it and he's got to do XYZ and I need him to pick up the slack here. There's, that saying about not blending family and business. Do you feel like you guys had any conflict during like the buildup of House of Barbers, or what is kind of the how's
None at
that
all,
blend
dude.
been?
Like he just he takes notes well. I think he follows my lead. If I ask him to do something, the only response is like, "How do you want it done?" And then I'll be like, "Hey, kid, cook." You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Hmm.
at an age now where I don't have all that much style. Like I love rocking a maroon red House of Barber shirt on a daily basis. So I'm just telling them like, hey, if you want hype stuff in here, you got to show me what hype is. Like I don't know what that stuff is anymore. Like I'm not a shoe collector anymore. I don't rock Bape. I don't rock designer clothes. So if you think something is cool, eventually I would like to split my time between the two. And I told them, I'm leaning on you to kind of create the vibe that you want in here because I'm Dondo already. People know who I am. I want people to know who Elijah is. Like, this is a whole new city for me and him. And when somebody sees, like, oh, how old are you? You're 20? Oh, does your brother own this? Oh, you own it too? Oh, that's dope. And you're 20 years old? And then it's like, I don't know. They're almost like starstruck to see a young guy just do his thing like that. So in a way, I'm kind of depending on him to be able to establish a name within that because people love a good story like that.
For sure. And I think he's at the age too where he's definitely still finding himself and his voice. And I mean, you've got away with people and like coming into that barbershop in North Loop, like you always greeted people the same way. And like your conversation, I felt like kind of controlled. I don't want to say controlled, but like the vibe of the room, like you definitely had a big voice in that. Maybe, maybe he was speaking up more when it was just the solid crew, but he's a little more to himself than you are, I'd say. So I feel like
Yeah.
this is probably a beneficial time for him to learn from someone like you who's gotten to this place in your career and helped him with this opportunity that may have seemed more daunting on his own. So I'm excited to see that progress over the years as well.
I'm excited for him too. This is the closest we've ever worked to each other because he's worked across from me, But eventually he put in his work. Hey, we got to move you down a couple because you're booked out. And so now he's not across from me. He's like a chair in between us and then next to us. So now I can kind of butt in and hear his conversations a little bit too. Like, what is he talking about over there? How does he keep his client occupied for 30 to 45 minutes? So it's rewarding knowing that, like, hearing the people say, good job. That's so cool. Oh man, it must be so awesome to work together. And it's been rewarding as a big brother. And there's such a big age gap between us. There's 9 years in between us. So I'm going to be able to take in something from a 20-year-old, and he's going to be able to take in something from a near 30-year-old, and we can bounce off each other.
Love that.
So what, I mean, one, that's very cool that you helped him get in that opportunity. And I guess then what kind of excites you about, starting these businesses, and especially with the barbershop too, like giving him, I know you're talking about teaching him, but what keeps you wanting to keep going?
Man, honestly, I've learned so far, I think, just to kind of go off a little bit, I'm learning that Minneapolis is so different from St. Paul. So now I'm like, this is kind of a challenge. I'm used to like cutting people in our age group, us three, versus like now, you might have Bob that is a senior citizen. He served his time as a human being, and now he just gets to relax, to where like that was like 5% of our clientele at North Loop. So it
Yeah.
makes me like, okay, so if I can learn how to talk to young business professionals and now people that have sold off businesses, that have completed their union jobs, and it makes me think like, okay, what's next? Like, can I talk to people that live on a lake? Can I talk to people that are small town people? There's only 5,000. Like, it creates curiosity and a challenge to where it's like, I wonder if I can crack that code. So that's what excites me. Otherwise, it's just like, don't get me wrong. It's nice to be bored of the repetition of 100 clients on a daily basis is awesome, but the challenge is complete. Like, the only thing I can do now is make sure that 100 turns into 110 or 120, to where it's like in St. Paul, I want 16, 18 chairs in here. So I got to figure out how to have 12 chairs be at 100 to make 16 chairs be at like 150 or something like that. And so that's a challenge to me. That's why we got this big ass space. So, you know, 2,000 square feet. What can we do with this? It's
Yeah.
either going to sink or it's going to freaking float. So
What's the square footage at North Loop?
I think it's like 1,400, maybe a little more, a little less, but around that area.
And
And
how do
also,
you have it set up? Is it like they're your employees, or are they owning their own business within your business?
Everybody's 1099, so they all own their own business. We do a program to where the longer you stay with us, the better your rate is. That way, we want to reward people. If you're going to be with us for 4 or 5 years, I don't think that the person coming in, walking into 8 walk-ins a day should get the same rate as somebody that's grinded and has gone through the slow seasons, that has witnessed a winter as a new business. So everybody is 1099, and we just find that it's better doing it that way than to do W-2s for us, because there's so much more work that goes on. We kind of want to just cut hair and be hands off and let people handle their business how they're going to handle it. And we just tell people, like, represent the brand, like, you have your own business for sure, but you are in our space. So, hold yourself accountable and represent properly.
Yeah. I'm sure too, for you, and especially now your brother being a 20-year-old coming in and owning the business, like that sense of pride that comes along, and like owning the brand every day. How have you seen him change specifically now with being an owner with you?
The one thing that I've seen change is his health habits. Like, he's not eating out every day. He's
oh,
no good,
good.
good, good, good.
It's
He's
like
not eating out every
he's like
day.
he
Like,
started hanging out with me. He's been eating horrible.
yeah, like, we just to show you guys like a little peek. Sorry, I mean, it's almost end of the day, but in the back there, I mean, we got the sink, we got a dishwasher, we got a full fridge, and the idea behind that is just like, save some money, make your own food. We got a microwave, air fryer coming soon. be here, be accessible. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what he did. He was like, yeah, let's get a fridge because I would rather just like bring home leftovers and a freezer. Bring some chicken tenders if you want to, you know? Just seeing his arms get a little bit bigger and him doing the whole workout thing, he's
Yeah.
definitely challenging me in weight, but mine is a little bit more in the gut, his is a little bit more in the arm. So just seeing him take this stuff so seriously, it just again, it's rewarding because his voice is getting a little deeper. His arms are getting a little bit bigger. It's like I'm watching him transform into the young man that he already is, but just leveling up rapidly it's like I say, it's just rewarding as a big brother for sure.
Spoken like a true big bro there.
Man, you got to give props where it's due. Everybody thinks that it's like, oh, you're the big brother. It's so cool that you're doing that. It's like, bro's been in here, I think, 4 months in a row, and the only days off that he's had are the holidays that we've
Yeah.
had, like Easter he had off and New Year's Day and Christmas, but I don't think he's taken a day off in since November, if we're really being honest. So
Yeah.
just to see that he does have that grind and he's not being burnt out, it is cool. Cause I tell you what, I'm tired, but it's a grind every day. You got to push through it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember in the very, very early days, and like I don't know how much was just you trying to keep it hush hush, and how much like the plans really were uncertain. But I remember you being like, "Oh, like I'm trying to maybe get Elijah involved. Like maybe it's something we could do together. Maybe you're gonna call it maybe like Brothers Barbershop at some
Brotherhood
point." I
Barbershop.
think.
Good memory. Yep. Yep. Brotherhood's
Um,
Barbershop.
I remember I was talking to someone the other day, or Gage, I think. He was like trying to look up the new spot. I was like, it's called Brothers Barbershop. And he's like, I can't find anything about Brothers Barbershop online. And I was like, I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's not called that anymore. Um, but was there like a clear period, and like not to make this whole thing about your brother here either, but was there a clear moment where he like locked in, and were you kind of like trying to convince him? Because you obviously have like a slower build up to understanding what it meant to own a brick and mortar and to own a barbershop, going through those steps on your own with North Loop. Um, how did he get convinced to come on board? And like, was that kind of the plan the whole time?
He was easily convinced. I think the only hesitation that I had was just making sure that this 20-year-old has enough capital in case, like, you got to come out of pocket, which we very well have been. Just knowing, like, are you prepared to kind of like throw away a year of grind, And,
Yeah.
once he committed to that, I kind of gave him some of the game, like how to use credit cards, how to get business loans if you need to, and stuff like that. And just making sure that I'm not letting him walk into something that I don't feel confidently about. So, he's
Yeah.
easily convinced. He trusted me thus far to be a barber. He's seen what North Loop can do, and I think that since he had that experience, like I said, easily convinced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you, especially with talking about loans and, credit cards, all that, how did you learn that? And, what were some of those moments where it was either good or it was bad? Like,
A lot of people associate credit card debt with like that's not good, and it very well can be bad stuff if you don't know what you're doing with that debt or like what your interest rates are. But I've always been the type of person, like, as soon as the statement balance hits, I just kind of paid it off. I never really wanted to have a bunch of
mhm,
debt overall.
yeah,
Honestly, it was just years of talking to bankers and making deposits and just sitting down with people, watching videos, self-educating, and kind of the mentors putting me on, which if anybody watching this that has a 1099 LLC business, um, I would utilize the Amex blueprint. You guys should all do your own research on what it is, but that was one thing I applied for and he applied for. Haven't used it yet, but their interest rate is like 0.05%, and they just take a fee every month for it instead of like when I was searching around for business loans, the lowest one that I could find was 7.49% with US Bank without actually pulling your financial, or you didn't have to show financials, but you had to show your credit. And so I got the lowest rate possible while other people were telling me, "Yeah, we can get you in at 12%." And I'm like, no chance am I going to do that. But yeah, a lot of research
got
and just
that
kind of
card too.
listening around. And you
Yeah,
gotta
You said
think,
what,
I
Trent?
cut
You have
so
that
many
card?
different
yeah, I
people
just got
every
that
single
card.
day. I cut so many people every single day that it's hard for me to not, like, be a little educated on everything, and then from there, it's just, am I gonna do my own research or not?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I actually was gonna add to that too, because I mean, when I was when I first brought up bringing you on here and I was kind of educating Trent on who you are and how we know each other and stuff, I'm like, Kaleb is a sponge and he is a guy that has a guy for everything. I imagine it's just because you keep taking on these big feats, building up businesses, redoing your basement and things like that. But I've also noticed, you're not afraid to admit when you don't know something and you either do a deep dive on it yourself or you bring someone in who is an expert on it. SEO is an example.
Yeah.
We
You
never
put me on a lot of game with that. You put me on
I
a
was
lot of
gonna
game with
say,
that.
I was like, we never formally worked together or anything, but I remember just in the early stages, I mean, I'm seeing you every 2 weeks, so every time we're getting together, we're talking about stuff that's gonna contribute to the growth of your business and then vice versa. What do you think it is about you that, like, allows you to put your hands up and say, like, "Hey, I don't know about this shit. I'm not gonna try to pretend like I know about this." And is it more of like a learn by, example kind of a thing? I know it's kind of an open-ended question, but I feel like you got a pretty deep, pocketbook of knowledge with a lot of different stuff.
I don't want people calling my bluff. And like, if I'm trying to put you on game in something that I know nothing about, there's a
Yeah.
good chance Casey might go and do his research and be like, bro, why'd you tell me to do that? Like, that was not a good move. Like, you should have did it this way. So it's like, instead of me answering something that I have no knowledge about, I'd rather get the knowledge, spread the knowledge to the person that's asking and actually learn it rather than just like throwing some BS out there and being totally wrong.
How often in the barbershop are they on complete bullshit with responses?
Man, I mean, dude, I got a good crew over there at North Loop. I like to think people keep it pretty honest, but I can't speak for all barbershops. I mean, the term fake it till you make it is very real in this industry. So
Mm.
um I can't talk about I can't talk about your barber Trent. I don't know if he's BSing or not, but if you sit in my chair for the most part, I mean, like, I like to be honest about with what I know and how I can help. And I always tell people, like, my new thing, I'm so stuck on what's going on in social media. Sometimes I get info from there and I do my own research, but I always anyway, hey, I saw it on the internet. You take what you
Yeah,
want from
I
that.
have
That's
heard
what
you
I
say
that's
that.
what I heard. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately because it's you guys obviously we all went through the whole thing of like, how do we know if this website's real? Or like what am I talking about? Where you can cite your resources or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't really pay attention to all that stuff. I ain't gonna lie to you guys.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, like, take it with a grain of salt, do your own research. I figure that's the easiest thing to tell people most of the time.
I think something that you 2 have in common that I just realized is I just was thinking back, Dondo, when we had a call, we were talking about something SEO related, and I remember explaining something. I oftentimes get extremely technical, and you and Trent both have a way of, like, regurgitating information I give in, like, a more human, digestible way, so I just can picture you being like, "So, basically, you're saying if I do this, and then that means this." Um,
I'm a very analogy type of guy. If you can give me an
100%.
analogy, I can put it together a little bit better. But SEO, man, like, it was hard for me to figure out how to find the email to get to this link. So, it's like
Well, it's just different skill sets. Like that's why I'm interested too. Like you know how to do the HVAC, you know how to do the flooring, like all that shit's over my head. So obviously there's conducive skill sets, and like we both I think have the flip sides of expertise, which is why we can find some common ground.
for sure.
So when you, okay, like the dispensary one, I got to go back to this. So I understand the barbershop world, like you starting those businesses. And I understand, like, yeah, it is a great opportunity, but with the dispensary. But you first time you hear about it, like where you like, all right, I do a bunch of research, I get pumped. Like, walk us through how you even came to the point of being like, yeah, I'm gonna go in on this. And then when you have an idea that you now are like, yeah, I'm gonna go in on this, what does it look like from there? Are you like, I gotta invest all this time? Like, what does that look like for you nowadays, especially even starting with a new barbershop? The dispensary though is the newest endeavor for you.
I'm gonna be honest with this one, boys.
Mhm.
I didn't do a whole lot of research when it came to the dispensary because my mentors kind of had it on lockdown and,
Yeah.
sold me on the plan. And I felt like I can trust them enough. Me, again, I was just happy to kind of be part of that process of like
Yeah.
skin in the game is going to be number one. As long as I'm making enough revenue with my hands and, North
Mhm.
Loop and eventually House of Barbers, I think we can keep the roof over the head. And there's always that option for a much larger company to come and buy you out.
Yeah.
Now, do I wanna get to that and just, like, let them take the shit that I worked so hard for? Nah, not really, but it's always an option. So, one of the
Yeah.
mentors told me, shout out to Matt, he was like, "Look, worst case scenario, if we're not really profiting too much, there's somebody that thinks that they can profit out of this business far more than what we can, that are mastermind with the numbers. We're
Mhm.
just potheads, bro. We smoke weed and we know that we can make this work." So to
Yeah.
answer your question, I wish I had done a little bit more research because one of the things that I didn't really know about is the 1080E law that comes with the dispensary. So what that is basically is if my dispensary makes $100,000, but my
Mhm.
overhead on a monthly basis is, let's just call it 30,000. I don't get taxed on the 70,000 profit that we made. I get taxed on the 100,000 because it's not legal on a federal
Mhm.
level. And so a lot of people hear dispensary and they think this dude's making a killing. Right now, we're making enough to get more product on the shelf. We're making enough to get better furniture in the shop. But until they do something with the taxes, the 1080E and all that stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of dispensaries, I don't wanna say they're staying afloat because again, I can only speak for Bloomn. But when it comes to that, once the 1080E kinda gets some restructuring and you can write off payroll, you can write off your lease, you can write off your electric bills and stuff like that. A lot
Mhm.
of people that have not done the research and, in that category have a hard lesson to learn still. And that was us because, with all the money that we made very good profits, right?
Yeah.
When it's all said and done and we pay the people that we got to pay, we're actually in the hole like 3,000 this month for uh
Mhm.
the business, which is not bad. It's our third full month.
Yeah.
Like, we
Has
just
that
I
number
feel like we're
decreased
doing.
in the past 3 months?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It
Nice.
feels like every other week we're breaking our record and it's, not by a couple dollars. It's couple
Yeah.
hundred, maybe 1,000 or a little extra right there. So we're growing rapidly. And if we can see the numbers that we expect to do in the summertime, get to that expectation, if not more, we'll be talking a little bit different here in a couple months. You might see a new batch of shirts coming out. You might see another barbershop or, I don't know. We'll see.
No, I heard you can whip the shirts up in the back, so we should get those regardless.
Yeah. Come on, man.
What's the foot traffic like? I'm interested. Obviously, this varies by area. I know North Loop for the barbershop. You guys probably went crazy with foot traffic. What has your experience been owning brick and mortars in different locations and how the location plays into the business sales?
I think that, in my opinion, in all the locations I have heavy foot traffic. So to get an idea, yesterday I had a barber come in, did a slight interview, wanted to check out the space. And as we're standing up, kind of parting our goodbyes or parting ways, he noticed, he's like, dude, in this last 5 minutes, I've been counting people that have just walked by. It's 6:30 at night. I've seen 35 people walk by or 37 people walk by. And he was
Yeah.
like, I just counted 37 people that I can give out business cards to. And I was like, I want you in my shop.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, go
literally
for it.
counting the people that walk by and, like, if I had business cards right now, I'd be like, "Go pass them out," you know?
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people, I've been seeing videos where these Instagram or social media gurus, like, having foot traffic is dead, you need to be able to work a good website and a good, branding, and I think while all that's true, I think that you're never gonna stop somebody from wanting to take a walk. If you take a walk past something and you're hungry and you find food, what's stopping you from getting a little thing of fries or a smoothie or a haircut? Like, if you got time to kill, all of 'em that's one of the main focuses I try to have with my brick and mortars and something I wanna continue doing. I don't want to have a cheap overhead and be placed somewhere in the corner where people don't know, am I in this city or where is that even at? I'd rather have 2,000 cars pass by me a day looking at my signage being like, oh, there's a barbershop. You
Mhm.
know, I think that's more valuable, in my opinion, right now with brand exposure. And then maybe Casey can give me some pointers on the whole Google ads and take a look at some of my SEO and put me on game with some of that.
Yeah,
Or
Casey was actually that influencer that he was talking about.
hey,
Um,
man, it's been a good run with Casey, just picking his brain and putting me on game and look over my website and him telling me stuff that looks good. What I found in being a barber is five of everybody. I know five people that do cars. I know five people that do websites. I know five people that own barbershops. So sometimes it is hard to decipher. So I got a different type of appreciation. Like, Casey said earlier, we talked a little bit. We talked numbers. At the time, I can't afford big dog. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, when the money does start coming in, I do want to find ways to actually partner with all the people that have helped me get to where I am today and be like, hey, what kind of services, now that I do have this, how do you think I could benefit off you? Or what can we work out to do something like that? And I think that gets so mixed up with business is that I have a lot of good friends. I had a lot of good people that I've met over the last 9 years. Don't you think that if you spent $5,000 with me over the past couple of years, you'd be like, is this dude ever going to give me a discount? Casey's never asked me for a discount. Casey never said, hey, can you plug me? Or like, hey, like
yeah.
you can't do this for me. So it's a different type of love that I got for people that we can see past the business. And even though things don't work out right now, I think people fail to realize that it doesn't mean it can't work out in the future as well, too. It doesn't have to be a right now thing. It could be in the future when I have a little bit more money or when Casey has a car that can drive 40 minutes handless and just come and get his haircut. I was talking to Elijah. I was like, hey, I'm doing the podcast with the boys today. He's like, where's Casey been? I said, bro, Casey lives in fucking Maple Grove. Like, bro's got to drive nearly an hour if he catches traffic and then go home and then sit in my chair. Cause I mean, maybe you guys can tell through all this podcasting, I just kind of ramble and ramble. So sometimes these 40-minute haircuts turn into an hour, but it's because I'm having fun. I enjoy the people that are actually sitting in my chair. And why do I want to rush you out? It's not about money at this point, I got to keep the pockets flowing, of course, but I just feel honored to sit here, cut you, conversate, and ask how you're doing. You tell me about you. So
Do you think that was something you thought about in going into this industry, that you would have to like chop it up with people to the level that you do? Or do you think you just liked barbering and then had to figure out how to kind of be a chameleon in these conversations?
when I got into barber school, I had no interest in doing barbering. I really just saw it as like, I can get paid every day. Most of it is cash. So like, can walk around Uncle Sam a little bit, maneuver how I need to maneuver. I think one thing I did underestimate though is like, everybody has careers. Everybody can do something for you. It's not like I don't I don't build relationships with people like, what can you do for me? Are you a
Mhm.
good human being? Do I want to touch your hair for the next 45 minutes or no? Because that's a long time to be touching somebody that you don't like. You know,
Right.
I know you guys are laughing, but it's true. It's true, man.
100%.
You want to
Yeah.
sit here, have me touching your hair and your head, like the most sensitive part of your body almost, and you don't
Yeah.
even like me? That's a long 45 minutes.
Mhm.
Percent.
I guess then with you obviously being in front of so many people and getting the opportunity to talk with them every single day, what do you think most people don't understand about people and especially the art of conversation and just, having a genuine connection?
That's a tough question because honestly, guys, I got ADHD. So my mind flows. I don't think like certain people. I can take something that you say and just kind of bounce off of it. So that's not, unfortunately for me, like I can't relate to having a hard time conversating with people. Like Miranda gets mad at me. I can start a conversation with somebody picking out spaghetti noodles at Target. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, how do you
Yeah.
like, why don't you get this one? And they're like, well, hey, if you look at the ingredients, this has 2 versus 10. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I don't know. I'm a people person. I like talking to people, man. I think that's one of the coolest parts of this job is like I said, you get to meet 5 of everybody, and in another 10 years, I'll know 10 of everybody, like it keeps happening. So I don't know, the different changes of personalities that I talked to today. And I love a good perspective because
Mhm.
I'm cutting all different types of people. I may feel a certain way, and you can convince me that, like, hey, I could be a little wrong. Let me look into that a little bit more and, maybe
Yeah.
adjust my opinion or just, a different type of perspective.
One thing we talked about on the last episode that goes off that was like at right now with the way the world is, at times it's hard to have an opinion in ways. How do you see that, in your day to day that a lot of people are scared to even share their opinion in some capacity? And like, how do you break down those walls with them too?
I'm an icebreaker as it is, like I
Mhm.
feel like cutting for so long, I could definitely get a feel for like what people are thinking. And maybe
Mhm.
I shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I'll slide something in kind of like a sly move to just get you to answer something a little bit and we can run with that. And I could be like, I can see where you're coming from. Have you ever thought about it this way? I
Yeah.
really haven't had much conflict in my chair that has gotten me to a point to where it's like, I got to take somebody's cape off and you need to leave now.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
haven't really had one of those, and I'm
Mhm.
grateful for that, being
Yeah.
able to have those tough conversations. Like when I was in barber school, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk
Mhm.
about politics. I talk about all that shit because I wanna know. Like, you can turn the TV on to a news station, Air 11, Fox 9, they'll have different opinions. I wanna know what your opinion is. I'm not cutting Fox 9. I'm cutting Trent. I'm cutting Casey. How do you feel about this?
Well, and you create the space too to make it okay to have those conversations. Like I feel like there's definitely a spectrum of a barber just being like, "Hey, what's your opinion on this?" versus you kind of creating the dialogue and making someone feel comfortable before getting into a conversation like that.
That that this last conversation that we just had, that's one of the main reasons why I love my North Loop crew, 'cause I got one of everything. I got a Christian in
Yeah.
there. I have an atheist in there. I have a girl that likes girls. I have a white guy. I have a Mexican.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
for my language. If anybody knows me, I don't mean to say that in like a bad way,
No,
but
I was thinking about that too.
the
Diverse
du
crew.
the diversity. And so it's
Mhm.
like, not only am I listening to people that are in my chair, but I'm also listening to what the people next to me are saying with the person in their chair as well. So that's
Different
kind of cool
perspective.
to exactly. Cause now it's like, I don't have to talk me and you. I can just kind of eavesdrop a little bit and be like, huh, okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. 100%. I was just thinking about that too. Like running down all the different crew or all the different people on each row. Like that's got to be the most diverse perspectives in any room that you'll ever be in,
For
especially if
sure.
it's people that are willing to share their thoughts and then you guys have a relationship outside of just like the surface level. What's your opinion on XYZ? You guys obviously trust and understand each other enough to like open that dialogue. And then also feel like the uniqueness of that world is oftentimes it's a homie of theirs in their chair. So you'll get to hear a conversation that they'd have with their homies, and they might open up a little different than you as, Dondo, who they're just cutting next to that they're still kind of getting to know.
Yeah.
So,
Let me ask you guys something.
what you
Okay.
got?
How did you guys meet? Like, you guys got this podcast going. Trent, remind me,
I'm in Chicago now.
you're in Chicago now. Okay.
Yeah.
You were in Minnesota.
Yeah. So I lived in Minnesota for like 3 years. I was part of Skin Tones at the time. So Jeremy was my college roommate, or not roommate, but very good friend in college.
Jeremy
And
Johnson.
Jeremy Johnson, sorry.
Okay.
Um, and then
Basketball
so
player.
Jeremy, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He hit me up and was like, "We're starting this business. You got to come out to Minneapolis and check it out." And then, I mean, I moved after I was living in Minneapolis a week and a half later after I came and visited for the first time. And then right away, he introduced me to Casey, but Casey was Casey Iliff Miller, Mr. Cool Guy, didn't want to hang out with me. Um, And then like right when I was moving away, we started to become really close. I think it really came down to Casey was helping us with our SEO, and we were already cool, but I think like our relationship changed a little bit when he started working with us, and then he saw a little bit more about how I think I interact. I would say is like how when we started to talk a lot more, and then Casey was showing up on like set with us and really helping out, and I just really liked how he showed up. And like he was always so willing to help with everything, and be a sounding board, even like you were saying, and I just really respected him a lot. So then I would ask him to play golf, and he wouldn't play golf, and but then I moved away, and he came and visited me, my family, and my family loves him too. So
Who's better?
at golf, definitely Casey.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
even been on the course with him, but I know that for a fact.
I
What
just
was
could
your
have
role at Skin Tones?
I was the producer, so I was dealing with all the bullshit of like paperwork and doing all the stuff nobody else wanted to do, the scheduling of getting a shoot together. Yeah, I was doing all the back end work.
More
Nothing fun.
tedious type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. But it was great. I loved it. So it's cool. I
I
don't
could
know.
have told
Casey, is
you
that how
I
you?
could have told you word for word how Trent was gonna respond to that question. He always hits him with the, "Oh, Casey was too cool for me when I was there, and I knew you're gonna throw the 'you always ask me to play golf' thing." But, I mean, he was pretty right other than, like, some of those specific details. Ironically, yeah, we did kinda become closer homies once he moved away, and another detail that I like, for whatever reason, we were kinda, like, surface level, like, we were homies, but didn't try to really even attempt to kick it, just the 2 of us until, I'd say the back half of your time living here, and then, I mean, like, we went to New York and, like, we shared a room and,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's right.
even then, it was, like, still, like, homies, but I probably knew you the least of everybody in the house, and then, I don't know, that time, when you moved back and was when lived in Maple Grove at the time, we just, like, yeah, we started hopping on phone calls all the time, and I think we both were in very introspective periods, like, I was trying to kinda figure out what I wanted to do next, and same with Trent.
Mhm.
I don't know. It honestly is kind of what led us to even start recording these. Like, I don't know how much of the context you have either, Dondo, but we just really started hitting record to kind of have documentation of these conversations that we have. We set
Mhm.
really no expectation, as you could tell. We kind of just hit record and started shooting the shit. But I don't know. We're like excited about the potential for it to grow. The stuff that we get from conversations between the two of us have been huge, but getting to have perspective from other people and especially like unique perspectives and people who have brick and mortar businesses and dispensaries and barbershops and our salesman and like we had a designer on a couple weeks ago, a guy that's from Denmark. So I don't know, there's just a spread and I feel like there's value regardless of how big this thing gets in these conversations that are had. So it's been a
Yeah.
cool full circle.
Just to go back on what you guys were saying earlier, being an adult, an official adult, nearing 30, you start to realize how underrated a friendship is where you don't necessarily need to be in the flesh with each other every single day. Like I got a bunch of homies that maybe we don't talk as much as I would like us to because we're all adulting, but if we
Yeah.
seen each other out at the bars, we're freaking jumping through hoops and skipping through lanes in order to get to each other. Like, what's up, bro? Like, how you
Yeah.
doing? And, that's dope to see you guys actually kind of like branch off, do something yourselves and, create a space like this for somebody like me to not only kind of just like show everybody what my brand is, but give me an opportunity to get my feet wet on something like this with, like I said, everybody wants to have their foot in the game and something that is new. Like, can you imagine if I was the first barber to ever come to Minneapolis? Like, everybody would want to cut. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel honored that Casey even shot the shot. Like, yo, we got this thing we're doing. I think it'd be cool if you hopped on and, getting these type of repetitions is, I'm appreciative. I thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I think you're the perfect blend of kind of what we want to do here and being able to chop it up and keep things casual, but also have some sort of depth to the conversation. Cause you talk about the value of friendships, I think, at this age. And although me and Trent don't live in the same area, we connect because our brains work similarly. And I think I have under, and Trent probably can say the same, under probably 5 people in my life who talk the way we talk and have these grand ideas and want to build these businesses and are writing down like journals every day about like the money we want to make and like all this dreamer bullshit. Um, so I don't know. I think it's finding the balance of being crazy and going after some of the stuff we do, but also like just being human. Like the same way, Dondo, you're kind of just putting one foot in front of the other. That's the same with us, but we like to believe stuff can be done. So having documentation of us believing that before we get to there is, the exciting part of doing these every week.
Keep writing that stuff down, bro, because that's been something that I've been trying to do. Granted, I don't write it down. I try to use my notes on the phone, but just being able to go and look at that to see like what was the original goal. Okay, I can
Yeah.
delete that. That's done. Now, what do I think I could do with this? Because people oftentimes will have great ideas, but if you're a stoner like I am, if I don't write these notes down tomorrow when I wake up, I'll be like, dang, what was that one thing that I said I wanted to
Yeah.
do? And then, it might pop up in a week or two, but just writing down your goals have actually been something that has helped me out.
Yeah, I keep seeing every time I go on social media, Steve Harvey keeps popping up for me. And in every single video, he talks about that. He's like, you need to write down your goals and you need to understand like what you want in the world and what you want out of life. And it is something that I've been practicing for a long time, but at times you forget about it too. And I know like for myself, I do it some years. I try to do it every year, but like write down a year plan of goals and stuff like that. And it's crazy. Even if you forget to look at it throughout the year, by the end of the year, you're like, damn, I checked off like 75% of these goals, you know?
Did that shit, yeah.
So it's crazy, how powerful that actually is. And then just like speaking it into existence and, the belief piece. And obviously you have to work towards it, but I don't know, it's refreshing to be around people like yourself who, have an idea and then go execute on an idea because everybody can have an idea and some people have better ideas than others, but it's more about that execution piece. And it is scary, but I think like even through this conversation, people should be able to understand it's just putting one foot in front of the other too. So
If there's any advice that I can give to people, man, is like with me, like I said, there's really no sauce on this burger. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of just put the condiments on as I go and just see what tastes good and what doesn't. So you'll never know if it's gonna work or not until you take that risk. And as long as you're ready to ride the ride, then just do it. Like I said, you guys are just like, you came up with this thing. We're going to start this podcast, talk about life, talk about business, everything in between. And you wouldn't have known how this is going to turn out until you made that first video. So
yeah, for sure.
you could help the
Although I
rest.
do still think it's very much in its infancy. If you go back and watch the first one, you'll see a blurry exported Zoom video where we're just probably talking about random bullshit. So hopefully the quality is slightly went up, and we're trying to get to that place too as we bring guests on. We want this to be something that, you get value from as well. And like we hopefully will continue to grow an audience that, go buy weed from you and go get haircuts from you over time. So hopefully mutually beneficial moving forward.
Of course.
All right. Well, we typically shoot for an hour here. We don't want to set any like specific parameters on it, but Dondo, anything that we haven't covered that you kind of want to get across, or even just like general shout outs for the stuff that you're working on?
Man. I
Sorry to
mean,
put you on the spot, but
oh man, I mean, shoot. Shout out to Stilo Cuz North Loop. I will say it would have been hard to do all this had that shop not been a thing, because I was talking to my mentor, Matt, one of my good friends. I look up to him like he's my older brother. I am the oldest of 7, by the way. So,
yeah. So I
um,
could have said any name when I said Elijah's name wrong. That might have been that might have been accurate.
I mean, you got one right. It was just a different brother, but those guys over there they make it look so freaking easy. Like you go into that shop and you're like, why is not every barbershop like this? Like we got music playing, the TV's on. It's kind of like a pick your personality. So it's like
This
without
is
the
that North
team that
Loop you're
I
talking about?
exactly. Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yep. The North Loop guys out there, dude. It's like had they not put the work in that needed to be done, I probably don't have a House of Barbers. I probably don't have a Bloomn. And yeah, I'm grateful for having a really good team over there, and even to go as far as saying like good mentors. Like there's 4 owners at the North Loop location, so getting to learn behind people that have other businesses, and like me and my homie Super, like
Mm.
this is our first business together. So kind of like going through the hoops of somebody that has a totally different past that I do, but like learning his perspective on like what he gets out of this too is also pretty cool. And I get to take all that stuff and bring it to a new shop, bring it to a new area code that is very different from like what I'm used to. I'm used to cutting 20-year-olds that just got big boy jobs, and now I'm cutting old farts that just like been there, done that. I just want my hair cut, and I cut people that enjoy a good river view now too, and even little kids. This is throughout the last 4 years, I committed to not taking any more kids, because I'm just like,
I was gonna
my
ask you about
clientele is
that.
filled with 60s instead of, $30 haircuts. So I thought that was reasonable. And, I don't know. Obviously, you saw my story today about the canes. Today is the first time in probably 4 years where my food has gotten cold because I got walk ins coming in. I can't tell you, give me a second while I go eat canes. No, let's get you in the chair. I got the microwave. I can heat that joint back up. And although it might not be fresh out the fryer, it's still the food, man. So,
Yeah.
Well, and to add
I enjoy
detail
these
to that,
growing
the
pains.
reason is because you don't have all the other barbers to fall back on like you did at North Loop. Like, it's just you or it's just the smaller crew there now, right?
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the code that I'm trying to crack now is being in North Loop, it's an easy sell. Probably, in my opinion, the most booming area in all of Minneapolis. So trying to convince somebody to come to an area that is like probably 30% retired, and
Mhm.
then the other percentage is people that have very young kids, not as many like people that are new to the job field after they just got their degree or something like that. And um go back to talking about what motivates you with all this stuff is just like the challenge. Like, can I do it? Like, can I really talk to somebody that's retired and doesn't really have an interest of Dondo? They just want a haircut. And so just learning how to navigate through that, because all those things are important in life. It doesn't always have to be about business, but if I can talk to Casey in the spaghetti aisle, can I talk to Bob in the spaghetti aisle too? Like
Yeah.
all this stuff's a challenge, and I enjoy it.
Do you think that your interest in that challenge is premeditated though, or are you kind of just able to recognize that looking back on it?
It's the ADHD, man. I can't shut up. I want to talk to everybody, because
Yeah.
like you start to learn that you judge a book by its cover, and you might miss out on an opportunity that like, oh, I
Mhm.
would never talk to that type of guy. Well, why not? Just because he's got, black painted nails and 5 nose piercings, you don't think that he can be of any sort of beneficial knowledge or just a solid human being?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I've got to believe that the barber industry is probably one of the most lucrative for things like that. Like everyone needs their haircut, right?
yeah. Yep. Now they're making machines that you can just sit in a chair and cut it. But then it's like, hey, maybe if you don't care to have a conversation, that might work for you. You know what I'm saying? But I just think with like how the pricing of everything is going, you can find a good quality haircut. But it goes back to the point of like, are you going to enjoy these next 30 to 45 minutes in somebody's chair? And if
Mhm.
the answer is no, then why would you want to go and spend that money? You know?
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't take me out of my hopefully they don't take me out of business. These damn machines and AI just blowing up.
North Loop Stilo Cuts hires 18 AI robots to cut hair.
Yeah, oh man. Oh god. That's when Dondo probably, if you guys see that, Dondo's down bad.
Find a new business to get into.
But yeah, shout out to the Blooming team, man. Shout out to Elijah. He's doing a cut right now. He's doing a cut right now. He's like, "Where are you doing it? You going home?" I said, "No, I'm doing it right in the
I was
back."
gonna say, tell him
The
to stop the
schedule's
cut
back
and come
open at
say what
5.
up.
I'll check the schedule. Elijah, hurry up. Come here. Run. Come here. Youngest barbershop owner in the state.
Elijah,
What up,
what's
man?
going on, brother? Anybody you want to shout out?
Yes, sir.
No, he said, do
Anybody
you
you
want
wanna
to
shout
do I
out?
want to shout anybody out? I'm gonna shout out my big brother here, man.
Let's go.
Hey, this guy can't even buy you a pack of cigarettes yet, man. So young dude doing his thing. So shout out to him, man. He makes it enjoyable to take this challenge and feel good about it, knowing that I'm not the only one busting ass out here. Knowing that there's somebody beating me in that race, it keeps me motivated as well too.
Yeah. He said, Elijah, too, your brother said a lot of very good things about you, and he's very excited for you. So,
I appreciate it, man.
yeah, of course.
All right. Anything else you fellas want to add?
Oh, man, like I said, I appreciate the opportunity and, the reps to just get the feet wet and all this stuff. And, maybe oh, there you go. Somebody just walked in. So probably be a good time to let you guys go. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course,
Go do
man,
the
we're
damn
looking
thing.
forward.
Got to do the damn thing.
Looking forward to talking to you again in the future too. I know, I'm sure you'll have a lot more things going on in the future too. So excited.
Hey, next time you're in, man, don't be afraid to cheat on your barber. Come on in, I got you.
I got you. All right.
Casey, I appreciate you, man.
Of course.
Trent, nice talking to you again. I'm sure we'll see each other in the future.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure.
All right, y'all.
fellas.
All right, man.